Hey y'all, how y'all doing this morning? How is everyone doing this morning? I'm over here in Joshua business. I just can't seem to get myself up out of Joshua, y'all. So I'm here again. And I want to talk about trust his time frame. And y'all know who his is, right? We need to trust God's time frame. How many of us get impatient easily? Do I hear a resounding, I do? Because I know I sure do. And in our fast-paced generation, we want everything done 5 minutes ago. But in the spiritual realm, it is not always like that. I've come to realize that everything takes the perfect amount of time. Everything. And who determines this? An eternal God. Someone who is not restrained by time or space. See, in the book of Ecclesiastes 3:1, we read that there is a time for everything and there's a season for every activity under the heavens. And we need spiritual wisdom to understand that God's timing is not our timing. Now I want to tell you another truth. We all actually can learn from Joshua's story. We can learn from Joshua's story. It's about spiritual wisdom when it comes to time. And when we learn to trust God and believe in His promises, we can go through the valley of the shadow of death, knowing that He will fight for us, knowing God's going to fight for us. We also know that we need to prepare before stepping into battle. We got to prepare. See, Joshua and his army marched all night long to prepare for battle and take the enemy by surprise. And when the battle began, Joshua prayed and asked God to hold the sun still so they could finish the battle that day. And clearly, when it comes to us, we would like to get the job done the first interview. We ain't got time to come back. We want it done right then and there. That's just us. We would love it also if our kids took in a lesson from a 20-minute conversation that took us like 20 years to learn. We love it. I say now that if anyone's battling any diseases or cancer like myself, you would likely pray for it to be beaten on the first round of chemotherapy, right? It's just as simple as that. When we go for that first treatment, we want it beat. But not one of us desires to spend time in the valley of the shadow of death. We don't desire that. I feel as if I'm living in the shadow of death right now. It's like when we come to that point, we just want to get out of there as soon as possible. But nevertheless, in order for God to fight our battles, we have to trust His time frame. And it's natural that we want victory in our battles as soon as possible, but we must give God time to move. We must give time for God to move. Allow Him to decide when He acts. I want y'all to remember, though, that although we're waiting on God and His timing, it doesn't give us a license for spiritual procrastination while we're waiting on God's timing. It does not give us a license for spiritual procrastination, y'all. That's the time to move. There is a time to move. There will be a time to move. Joshua and his army did what they had to do, but they trusted God and allowed Him to do His part at just the right time. So for God to fight your battles, you have to trust His time frame. You just have to. You have to realize His grace. If you want to take it back to Joshua 9:13 through 15, you have to realize God's grace. And our perspective of things causes us to make decisions based on what we can see and understand at any given moment. We are finite beings. So our understanding of situations is based on what we can analyze from what surrounds us, right? As well as our past experiences. Now, sadly, we often make decisions in a rush. We do. We do not ask for counsel, and sometimes the people we love end up paying the price for our bad choices. Or they might help us solve the problem that wasn't theirs to solve in the first place. And they do it only because they love us. They decide to fight for us, even though it is not their responsibility. Y'all follow me? Now I want to share the background of the story I've been talking about, which is Joshua. And we know that God fulfilled His promise and fought for His people, but why did they get into the battle in the first place? Why did they get into the battle in the first place? Go back to Joshua 9:3. See, the Gibeonites were neighbors to the Israelites. And when they heard about the victories the Israelites were having, they decided to trick God's people into a peace treaty, pretended to come from very distant lands. And they did this because they were afraid of them. See, the battle that came later happened because Joshua made a treaty with these people even before consulting God. Can y'all believe that? Can y'all believe that Joshua made a treaty with these people before consulting God? And he was tricked into the treaty, so the Israelites had to keep their word and protect the Gibeonites. This story, y'all, is surrounded and covered in God's amazing grace. Joshua made a bad decision, and God, in his grace, fought the battle for Joshua anyway. See, Joshua didn't pray about that initial decision. He did not consult God or include God in his decision. He didn't. But God, in his grace, decided to fight for his people. Amen? Every single battle the Lord fights for you and me will take place because of his grace. And we surely do not deserve it. But that is what the cross is all about. The cross is all about love. Love. It just boils down to, y'all, someone who did not deserve to pay for our mistakes decided to take our place, to pay for our faults. And that's just how amazing God's love and grace is for us. And may the realization of how much this cost Jesus teach us to make decisions and plans according to God's heart. We have to realize his grace. We have to move by his plan and not our own perspective. We must trust his time frame and realize the grace. Get y'all's prayer life in order before you start acting and reacting and moving and all that stuff. Go to God in prayer. Consult with him. Let him be your counsel. But even if you don't, and you end up doing something you ain't got no business doing, once you get through and you get your ass in trouble, you can still call out to him. And he's still going to be right there to fight your battles. We all have a purpose in this world when we're born. We all are our own design originals. There's not one person here on earth that is here appointed to do exactly what you're appointed to do. We all have our own purpose. And I can't wait for everyone to find that purpose and to build their relationship with God. Because once you realize and once you trust in, I'm telling you, your life is going to be so much better. Lord, I thank you for your grace. I thank you for your time frame. I thank you for everything. Amen.